All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our very last live sessions. So this is week 7, and we will go over putting it all together. So again, welcome back to UXI-115 UX Process and Theories. And this week in week 7, we're going to talk about putting it all together, all of the hard work that you've done thus far. So let's go ahead and get started. So for today's agenda, we're going to do a course overview as always. Then I'm going to overview week 7. I'll also provide you with some resources and some reminders. And for our class rules, our live sessions are being recorded and saved underneath web meetings. Now, you can keep your video on or off. That's your choice, but I do ask that you put your mic on mute unless you are having any issues with audio or video. You can send me a message directly in the chat and I will make some accommodations for you. And then also in this live session, I ask that you also engage. I have a few questions to ask, so please engage in the chat with your classmates as well. You can ask questions, connect, but I'm super excited to go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. So the course overview. In this course, you will learn key theories and processes to help you create usable, useful, and delightful products that answer users' needs. You will also work with software tools such as Adobe XD and/or Figma. So let's discuss our course project. So throughout this course, you will focus on redesigning an existing restaurant's mobile app. You were able to choose between Texas Roadhouse, Panera Bread, and then you also were able to select your own mobile app if it was approved. Now, you're going to focus on identifying the problems that is within that existing mobile app, performing user research, producing and improve product design, and then conducting usability testing. Now, to further talk in depth about the course project, the goal is to produce a better user experience in the existing restaurant app and create a UX case study asset to add to your growing capstone portfolio. Now, in week 7, it is time to put it all together, everything from week 1 all the way up till now. So before we get started with the week 7 lesson, I would like to ask you this question. What is your biggest takeaway that you've learned from this course? And then I would like for you to send that answer directly to me in the chat. Now, if you are watching this as a replay, please make sure to answer this question, as this is one of a few questions being asked throughout this live session. So please make sure to watch this live session from beginning to end, and then submit over those takeaways so you can receive full credit for not attending. So again, the question is, what is your biggest takeaway that you've learned from this course? And you can send that directly to me in the chat. I'll give you a few moments to answer. Okay, awesome job. So we've covered a lot throughout this course. Again, the course is UX Process and Theories. So we discuss different processes and theories that you can apply when you are moving forth in your career as a UX or UI designer, UX researcher, and so forth. So let's go ahead and look at the week 7 overview. So this week, you will make final revisions to your app redesign and put everything together in a final UX report, showcasing everything that you've done for this project. Now, please be aware that there are no new readings for this week. So you be able to focus on creating your final deliverable. However, there is a learning assignment that you will have to complete for week 7. So we'll discuss that later on in the live session. So week 7 objectives. The topic for discussion, again, is putting it all together. So some objectives for week 7, you'll have to complete the final app redesign, compile all process work into a final report, which we'll discuss a little bit later on, demonstrate professional communication, and then lastly, refresh your memory on what you read and learned. So here is an overview of what we learned week by week. So in week 1, we discussed the user experience design process, and that is when you selected the restaurant app that you were going to redesign. Week 2, we discussed user research methods. Week 3, user personas. Week 4, information architecture, which is the organization of how you would like to lay out your application, how you would like to make it better and organized for the user. Next, week 5, app design or redesign. And then week 6, usability testing, which is very important to receive feedback from the app redesign so that you can update those iterations and make a better user experience from the feedback that you received previously. Week 7, which we're in right now, putting it all together. And then week 8, career focus and reflection. So for the week 7 assignment, this week you will finish your app redesign and compile all your work into a final report using Adobe InDesign. Again, you will use Adobe InDesign as the software application to create your final report. This report would be something you can present to your client. Now, you are free to use other applications. If you are more comfortable, there are templates that I will provide that you can open right up and make some changes to the template, or you can recreate the final report in InDesign yourself or any other application that you feel comfortable with. But please note, you will add this project to your portfolio, your e-portfolio site that Brown University pushes, and you will use to build a portfolio throughout the program. So you're going to just go ahead and add this assignment to that portfolio so that you can take all of what you've learned and present to any of your clients if you're looking to be a freelancer, or also to recruiters if you're looking to interview for those UX, UI positions. So let's discuss the UX research report, which is very important for week 7. So what is a UX research report? It is known as a summary of the methods used, research conducted, data collected, and insights gleaned from user research. Now, traditional research reports are typically long text documents with detailed explanations of participant sampling, methodologies, as well as analysis, which you'll do quite the same. So some alternative ways to share your UX research findings are providing examples, slide decks, email and or Slack case studies, which we've conducted, will continue to conduct, and you'll be able to promote and put into your portfolio, atomic research nuggets, as well as sharing your research artifacts with stakeholders. Now, in this video, he's going to show you how to create a UX research report. And also, if you click on the link below, you'll have full access to these slides. I will post them in the announcement section right after this live session is over. So you are able to go back and reference to this video. And again, with this video, he will supply a research report, a template. So you can use his template if you would like to make any edits or updates. But let's go ahead and dive into the video discussing how to create a UX research report.
Hey friends, you've now conducted your UX research, you've been out into the field and got your findings. The next step is now to write up your findings and report them back to your wider team. This step is super important and just as important as conducting the research itself. To help you out, I've created a free Figma template to help you out writing up your findings. Be sure to go in the link in the description below to grab the free Figma template. If you're new here, my name's Rakan, a product designer working in London, and I create design videos, so be sure to subscribe for future videos, and let's get started. Your UX research you've just conducted is only going to be useful if you share them out widely to your wider team. Knowledge sharing is super important. Share them with the developers, product owners, product managers, people from other teams. The more people that know about your findings, the better. And a great way of doing this is through live presentations and sharing them async after you've finished your presentation. And I'm going to help you out with this. So let's jump straight into Figma, head into the link in the description below to grab the file, and you should be able to get this UX research report template up. And the way I've created it is that all you have to do is insert your findings in, and you can duplicate any of these slides as many times as you need to create your own deck. So it's going to be super easy for you to create your UX research report. So explaining the rationale of how this report works. So the first slide here is you've got your title slide, and then the next up is the key findings. This for me is one of the most important slides that you want to put in, especially for async purposes. If someone only had 60 seconds to view your presentation, you want to make sure they can grasp the main research findings within that time frame. If you only had 60 seconds, what would you like to know? Put a comment down below, and hopefully that helps you come up with a rationale of what you want to see here. Next up is the research aim. Hopefully this has already been conducted and you already know what the research aim was when you conducted the research. And here it's always nice for someone to understand the project team. If you're reporting out to wider teams, who was involved in the research, just insert people's names, and I've sorted them here alphabetically. And then we're jumping straight into research participants. It's always great to have a bit of information about who was the people you was doing user interviews with or usability tests. If possible, it would be nice to have some pictures to make it more personal, and it would be nice to understand what was the criteria for the participants to conduct the research. For example, did they have to be delivery drivers? Did they have to own a vehicle? Did they have to, for example, be a certain age? It's always nice to include this rationale. And then how did the participants come about? Did you use an external agency? Were they recruited internally? All of this stuff's really useful, as well as the location and the date. If this was sent out globally, if you're working on a global team, it's nice to know where this research was conducted. In this case, it could have been conducted in London. And then jumping all the way into personas. So this should be really simple to create. Hopefully you've already got personas to insert in. If not, just add some information around the background of the participants. Any information that you've done through the screening, you can add here. For example, do you know any of the goals or the ambitions, frustrations that you learned in the interviews, what tools they use? It helps people understand closer to who you was interviewing. The next slide I like to include some methodologies. Like a lot of teams might have different methodologies how they conduct their research. It can be super useful to understand your user research scripts you was using. I always include a link here. And how did you conduct the research? Was it done virtually? Was it done in person? Was it done inside a lab? It's always important to include your methodology so people understand how the research was conducted. Another slide that I think is a really nice touch, and it adds a lot of value when you're presenting back to people that aren't familiar with the project, is have some photos of the research. Are you able to take any photos or any photos that happened on the day? It can really add some more of a personal touch to your presentation. For example, here's some photos I took when I was doing some research in London. It just helps people get a closer feel to the actual product and the research itself. The next screens here I like to include is the screens that you've been tested. Some people might not have seen this new designs that you've been testing or doing a usability test on. You might not be testing any screens, so you don't have to include this slide here, but if you are doing any screens, it's always useful to show the latest designs that you was testing and include a prototype link as well. If you was testing a prototype, it's nice for people to be able to click through this in their own time when you send this off offline. I use Figma to create prototypes, but you might be using InVision, so be sure to include a link and allow people to click through the prototype. And here is a generic phone screen like research findings, so you might want to duplicate this a few times, but this is basically explaining the rationale and findings you've had about a certain screen. For example, you might be doing a usability test and you want to explain why some things worked really well or some things that didn't work well. So having the phone screen there with the relevant screen can really help bring this to life, and it allows people to understand what you're talking about. And it's just a really nice, easy way to present this. I think one of the most important things to include in your research decks are quotes. Quotes can really bring things to life and allow people to actually understand without any bias what you're trying to explain. For example, if you want to bring your point across, always using research participants quotes can help you with this. You want to always include the source, the participant's name, and you want to make sure that your quote's quite accurate as well. And quotes are a great way. I recommend adding more than one quote into your research deck because, again, it helps explain and deliver what you're trying to say to your team. Having quotes can support your research findings. Here I've just included various styles for research findings, so you might just want to include photos of a day, and instead of having pictures of a phone, it's nice to change it up. For example, having images on the right here, or you might want to have an image on the left here. It's really important to talk about your findings and not to have any bias when you talk about your findings as well. Also, have you had any opportunities to improve a screen for a better user experience? Are there any opportunities that you found on the day? This is a great place to talk about this here. Here I've got a bit of a visual summary slide, so images again are a great way when you're presenting back your findings. Maybe you want to include 3 short snappy points, so you want to basically have point 1, point 2, point 3 here and just summarize them in like one sentence on each image, and that can really help people understand and summarize something. For example, this could be pain points. You want to talk about pain point 1, pain point 2, pain point 3, and it allows people to understand what you're trying to say easily. You don't want to have too many words when you're presenting back findings. You want to keep people engaged as well. Here I've included some bar charts as well. Bar charts, again, like data to back up your findings, is probably one of the best ways. So if you've been doing any usability tests, you might be capturing some scores of ease of use, or task failure, task completion. It's really important to add some data in some of your usability test findings or research findings if you have any data available. And I've created some bar charts for you to do this. So it's always nice to back up your findings with some data, and it helps support and inform your decisions here. And then on the left here, we've got another bar chart style. Again, super important to have data to back up your findings. And another slide I like to include is unanswered questions. So what wasn't you able to answer this time when conducting your research? Because the chances are you'll have like maybe 1 hour, 45 minutes or 30 minutes, but you might actually discover things that you might need to ask next time, like how you might have certain technical constraints that you wasn't able to test, or there might just still be things that you might need to test next time. And it's always important to note these down so that the rest of your team are aware of these and that they just don't get lost in the pipeline. I always like to put this nearer to the end of a presentation so that people are aware that we were looking at this, but we wasn't able to answer it this time round, or we've got some questions that did come up this time and we need to test them next time round. So you've done all your research and you're presenting back your findings, but you're working on a product-driven team. You need to make sure that you actually action some user stories from your work. Otherwise, a lot of your research is going to go to waste unless you work with your team to prioritize what's the most important findings from this research, what needs to be actioned. Is there anything that needs to be immediately addressed? of the things that can be addressed in a longer term. It's important to work with your product managers, product owners, developers to get opinions on this as well. So when you conduct your research, you need to have these actions and outcomes. As a designer, I like to suggest what I see as important and what needs to be worked on next, and then I talk these through the rest of my team. And this is more of an optional slide, concept of future work. So if you've done some research and you might have come up with an idea whilst you were doing the research of how to solve a problem that you encountered, it might be you might have like a few minutes or a few hours to mock up something really quick, and you want to show your team, oh, this might be a direction we want to go to look into to solve this problem. So it's always nice to sometimes have a work in progress concept and show some future potential work to solve this. And the last slide here is just a simple thank you slide, and it's always important to ask questions at the end of a presentation. So hopefully going through this deck, it can allow you to create your own UX research report well, and hopefully it allows you to concentrate on making the findings. Like I mentioned earlier, you want to spend just as much time on the findings and report as you've done already conducting the research. You don't want this to go to waste. So you can get this template, again, head into the link in the description below to grab that. And another thing I'd like to mention is you can change all the styles on this deck. So right now these are all inspired by Sweets with the color palettes here, but you can change them. So with the color styles here, we've got like marshmallow, and then we've got candy floss, Wonka purple, raspberry bonbon, and licorice. And you can change these to fit a style of the deck that you like. And then you can change the fonts here as well. And with the devices, if you want to use Android devices or other iPhones, you can change them here as well. So we've used variants in this deck, so you should be able to change, for example, if you want to change an iPhone here to a Google Pixel, that is possible. Same with the insights into the designs here. If you want to change these to Google, it works well. So that's another awesome thing that I've added to this, and that's with the power of variants. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it new, and I hope you enjoy using this template. Be sure to comment down below what you thought of the template and like this video, and be sure to subscribe for future design related videos.
Okay, so that was really a good video to help you understand what it takes to build a UX research report. So I'm going to move forth, and we're going to talk about the final report outline. So these are some requirements that you must include within your UX research report. So based on the outline, we're going to go page by page. You must include a cover page, an introduction. Also, in week 2, we discussed design problems. You will incorporate that into your final report. Week 3, we discussed user research as well as user personas. So please make sure to implement that. The journey map that you created for your customers in week 4, you will implement, as well as some screenshots of your final app redesign we discussed in week 5 and 7. And then lastly, user test process and notes, as well as your usability test plan that you created in week 6. And then you will also have a summary for your UX research report. Now, in week 3, this is the user research and personas you will implement. So you created 3 of those. So it is very important to include all 3 of those user personas. Now, this is a video that we previously covered in week 3, so I'm not going to show this video, but if you had received feedback from me, please make sure to implement that feedback into your updated designs and work so that you can receive full credit when it comes to your final report. Also, in week 4, we discussed customer journey maps, and this was a video that we played in week 4. So again, you are able to go back and rewatch these videos. Again, I'll post this video, this live session, in the announcement section, so you can have access to that. And this will also be important and a requirement for you to include within your UX research report. We also did in week 6, user test process and notes, as well as usability test plan. And here's some examples that you can also preview, and you'll have access to that. So what is a mockup? So this is important because you want to implement mockups into your UX research report. Your UX research report is not just text. You want to break up the text with visuals, visuals that you can present to the stakeholders or to recruiters, and really talk about the design process, the design thinking process, and how you were able to enhance the user experience from the previous feedback that you received from the usability testing. But mockups are important to communicate that visually. So what is a mockup? Mockup templates are considered a full-size or scale model of a design or device used for demonstration or test purposes. So the mockup is going to basically display the functionality or the final look of the proposed design. It is used in various stages of the design process, from early concept designs to final production models. So here's an example of a mobile mockup. In this mobile user flow, they are showing the start from the Google Shopping homepage. Now, this is a source that you can click on to further understand how she was able to come up with this mobile user flow. But this on the image on the left is an example of a mobile mockup, which you can also implement if you would like to do screen recording of the process itself, or you can just do screenshots and just place it within a mobile mockup, such as this iPhone here on the left. You can do Android using the UX research report template that we previously saw in the YouTube video. He laid out a lot of different mobile mockups that you can implement into your UX research report. But I also have a few videos that I want to show you on how to create your own mockups in both Figma and Adobe XD. So in this very first video, it's going to show you how to create a mockup using Figma plugins. And then the video after this is going to be quite similar. So let's start off with creating mockups using Figma plugins.
Welcome back everyone. So in today's video, I'm going to show you some cool Figma plugins that you can use to create amazing mockups right on Figma. So the starting plugins are going to be very straightforward and easy to use, and the ones towards the end are going to have some advanced features, or you can create some advanced mockups. So before I get started, I've got 3 screens here from a UI kit that I've picked up from the Figma community. So we are going to use this for the demo purpose. So starting off with the first one, which is Artboard Studio Mockups. I've already installed it, so I have it right away in my plugins. So as you can see, this is Artboard Studio Mockups. Don't worry, I'll be giving all these plugin links in the description below. You can just go ahead and install it. And as you can see, if you purchase their premium version, you get these logged items unlocked. But in the free version itself, you have a lot of amazing devices here. So if you want to filter it, just go to all items and click on free items. And as you can see, these are some great mockup devices. So this one looks good. So I just have to click on this, and that will add up on the canvas, as you can see here. So every device you click, it comes with a frame and then the device itself. So this is the frame where you have to add your design. Here is my design. I'll just create a duplicate of it and bring it inside this. So don't worry if it doesn't fit exactly on this frame. You just align it to the top and use the scale function, which is K, and just resize it so that it fits exactly in the frame. Now that it fits on the frame properly, all you have to do is just click on the frame once again and click the option here which says render selected frame. And that's it. Boom, there you go. You have that on the device right here, and you can use this anywhere that you like. So let me just show you one other examples, for which I will choose another one, which is this one. And there you go, we have an amazing design of the mockup already done. So as you can see, this is how it's gonna look, and you have the shadows and all that stuff, and you have a lot of variety of options to try. So that is the first one. So moving on to the next one, which is called as Clay Mockup 3D. So just click on plugins option, and here I have it. So a window like this is going to open up. So all you got to do is click on the frame or the design that you want to load here. So this one is the one that I want, and it just directly loads up, and you can, just rotate it in 3D space and whichever angle that you want. So if you want it lying on the ground, you can place it like this. And you also have some great presets. So you just click on the preset and you can just apply that. And if you want to get some precise angle, you can also go for this camera rotation and all the XYZ axis. And also you have the option to change the device color. So if you're working on a dark theme or something, you can go for a dark theme. And all you got to do is just click on save as image, and there you go, you have the high quality right on the canvas. So that was how to use the clay mockup 3D. And now moving on to the next one, which is Vectory 3D. So I just right click, go to plugins, and there we go. So this one has a lot of 3D mockups. So as you can see, there are different types here, not just devices. Let's see how this one works. All you got to do is just click on the design that you want and say load frame, and it gets loaded on the device. And same like the previous example we saw, you can just rotate this in 3D space. The best part about this is it has the shadows also coming in, and you have the lighting. So if you can see, the light source is also being rendered, and if you don't want the shadow, you can just turn it off. And once you feel it's good, just click on export image. That'll process, and there you go, you have the device mockup ready. And not just devices, you have a lot of 3D objects to try here. So this is a bonus tip in this video. So if I want this hoodie right here, and just click on any frame and just load it. So if you want the exact dimensions, you can get the layout here. So that will give you the exact layout that the template requires. So there you go, this looks really cool. So you have a hoodie with your app design on it. So those were the three simple plugins that you could use to create this stuff. And moving on to a bit more advanced stuff, that is creating your own angles and all that stuff, for which you can explore your own mockup templates and not stick to the ones that they're providing. So you can go to the Figma community tab and search for something like mockups, and you will find a lot of options here. So I searched for mockups, and as you can see, I have a lot of devices that you can use. Let's try something here. So this one looks good. I like the design here. So this is an iPhone 12 mockup. So all you got to do is just duplicate it, and you'll have a duplicate version of the file here. So as you can see, this is the file, and I like the blue device here. So I'll just click this, copy this onto the file that we created. And now all you got to do is, just select the image frame inside, and just right click, go to plugins, and we have a plugin called as mockup. So just click on that, and you will have a window which basically shows all the frames in your canvas. So you just have to select the design that you want to apply on this device. So in my case, I would like to apply this screen right here. So all I have to do is just click on that and say apply. But as you can see, it's rotated, but don't worry about that. You have an option here to rotate the image. So just click on that. It's still rotated, and I think once more, there you go. And here you have your design applied on the mockup, and you can just go ahead and use this. Just close this, and you can use this wherever you want. So that is a way to use it. And not just the mockups that you find on Figma community, you can just search for any mockup that you like. So let's say I search for mobile mockup, and I go into the images. So you have a lot of free options that you find. For example, this one is really looking good, and they have a free version, so it's actually free to use. So you can go ahead and download it and copy it right away. So what you can do is just put it, and you just have to draw a frame around this. So for example, I'll just use the pen tool right here, and I'm just doing this very quickly. And now what you got to do is just right click, go to the plugin, and go to mockup, the same thing. And here we're going to apply this one right there and say apply, and there you go, we have it right there. And you have this rounded rounded corners that you can just apply with this, and I'll just remove the stroke, and there you go. With just a couple of clicks, you have this mockup placed on a different device here. And also you have a similar plugin which is called as angle mockup. So this is also a cool plugin that you can try out. It just works the same way. You just have to draw a frame, and you get an option to choose which frame that you want to apply, and just say apply, and it gets applied on whichever angle that you created your frame. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you found it informative and helpful. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so that was a really helpful video. So we're also going to show another video for those of you who created your app redesign in Adobe XD. This is a video for you on how to create 3D mockups in Adobe XD, similar to the video that we just previously watched on how to create mockups in Figma. So let's go ahead and dive right on in.
Welcome back everyone. So in one of our previous videos, I showed you how to create awesome mockups on Figma using plugins, but a couple of our friends have asked us how to do it on Adobe XD. So here is a quick video on that. So I'm going to show you two methods, or let's say two plugins here. The first one is going to be a very quick and easy way to do it. So it's just plug and play. And the second one is more of an advanced, or let's say a freestyle, because you can use any mockups from the internet. So without any further ado, let's get started. So for this demo purpose, I'm going to use the screenshot from Nike Running Club app, and let's try to use this and create the mockups. So the first plugin I'm going to use is called as Rotato. So as you can see here, so if you don't have this installed, you can just head towards plugin tab and you have this plus icon. Just search for the plugin name and just install it. Pretty simple. And once you have it installed, you can find this here. So here is Rotato. All you got to do is just click on the screen or the artboard, and you have the option which says send to Rotato. So once you click on this, you will be jumping on this screen right here. So you have this loaded up. So as you can see, a new project or a new file opens up with your screen or the artboard loaded here. So you can just click and just drag it and rotate it in 3D space, and it works really very smooth. So that's really cool. And as you can see, this is a freemium version, and that is why we have this tag. So if you pay for the premium, you get some awesome features, but still you have a lot of features in the freemium version itself. So you can change the background color into any color that you like. You can even put transparent. That's really cool. So then you have the device color, so you can choose any device color that you want, and you have this clay option, so you can set a clay type or a reflective type. Then you have lighting. So those are different options. And then you also have this cool option called as labels. Just show you an example here. So let's say I type in amazing app here, and I will give this as Nike. And as you can see, the text, rotates along with the rotation of the device. So that's a really cool thing. So you get that depth and that levitation of that. And you also have these options of changing the levitation, the size of the font and all that stuff. So you can play around with that. And then you have these preset device positions. Okay, so once you click on this, you get these standard device positions that are available, or you can rotate it and put any angle that you like. And then the best part about this is it also has animations. So this is really cool. Once you click on animation, you have these preset templates. So or also you can add your own keyframes and rotate it. So this is the option for keyframe, but let's go with the template here. So I can just click on this add option, and it just adds those different template animations, and you can just play it here and see how cool it looks. So you can basically make a whole amazing app promo out of this particular app, and that's going to look really, really cool. So as you can see here, so once you like everything, you can just head towards the export option here. And if you're looking for just a image or a snapshot, you can go for this option, or if you're on the video, you can go for the video option as well. So that's all about the Rotato plugin. And now let's head towards the next one. So here we are back on Adobe XD, and I already have a mockup taken from the internet. So as you can see here, this is the mockup that we are going to use. So I'm just going to place it here. So for getting these mockups, there are a lot of websites. You can actually head towards our own website here. So this is designextreme.com, and on the left you have these options here. So head towards device mockups, and you have these couple of sites. So you have these free options which are mockup for free, mockup club. So once you head towards these, you can basically search for different mockups. So this is a collection of all type of mockups. You can search for particular type of mockup, like let's say I want a mobile mockup. Just search for that, and you'll find a ton of them. So these are really cool, right? You can check all of these, and most of them are free. So it's a really cool website. So I'll be adding more of these and updating the site. So make sure you have a check on these tabs here. So let's head back to Adobe XD and see how to work around with this. So once you find a mockup, bring it onto XD and then go to the layers panel. Basically in most of the mockups, you find these different layers here, which basically has mask or replace me or mockup here. So you got to search for layers like these, and it's going to be really easy to use those. But if you don't have that and it's just an image, don't worry. You can always use the pen tool and just try to draw a shape around the device where you want it, and that should be enough for us to place the mockup. But in this case, we already have this layer here, so let's try to use this one. So all you got to do is just select the layer here and head towards plugins, and now we're going to use a plugin called as angle. So just search for this and install it, and then you have this option called as apply mockup. Click on that, and then you have an option to select the artboard that you want to place here. So in this case, it is Nike mockup, so this is the artboard's name. Just select that, and then you have the pixel density on how much resolution you wanted. Then you want the quality, so I'll leave it at best. And this orientation is basically the angle at which the device is. Currently the device, it's rotated to the right, so you want to use this rotate right option. And if you're confused about this orientation, don't worry, you just have three options. So just play around with these three and you'll be able to get the right one. And all you got to do is just click on apply. But you get an error like this sometimes, so don't worry about that. That is because the layer that you want is in a masked group. So So I purposefully wanted to show you this error. So head towards your layers panel and then just copy this out of the mask because it's currently inside a mask group, right? So just copy that and bring it onto the artboard. Now it is outside the mask layer and now you'll be able to apply it. So again, just repeat the process, going to plugins, apply mockup. So all selected at 2x and then the orientation at rotate right and apply. So now it's all set and now the plugin is basically working and we should have the mockup on the device in a couple of seconds. And there you go guys, we have the mockup applied on the device. But if you zoom in and see that the corners are sharp and it's going outside the screen layer, and that is because we have not put it inside the mask. So once this is done, all you got to do is just select this, head towards layers tab, you have it outside, just cut it and select the mask layer or the layer inside the mask and just paste it inside that, and there you go, you have this all properly set, you have the notch being seen and everything is properly set. You can use this at any place that you want and just resize it or do whatever you want. So
Okay, so I hope those videos are really good resources for you to go back and implement into your UX research report. So here are the links to those mockups that were previously mentioned in both of those videos. And again, you will be able to access all of these by clicking the slides in the announcement section after the live session is over. So let's discuss case study. So the goal is to tell the story of how you improve the user's experience through your design. So that is the main focus of creating your case study. So when you create a case study for your portfolio, you want to include a summarized presentation of the design project, which will include the project title, goals and objectives, your role in the project, a list of user problems and user personas, the research and the design processes followed, findings and recommendations, the outcome of the project. Also, you want to include your sketches, your wireframes, and your mockups, as well as your takeaway summary. And that can also include the number of downloads, signups, if you want to implement that in there. Now, why are case studies important? Case studies are a visual demonstration of your design knowledge, willingness to collaborate with a team, and your ability to see in from start to finish, despite any challenges that may occur. Also, it should be engaging, visually appealing, and easy to skim over. Lastly, it needs to tell your recruiters or stakeholders exactly what you need to know, what they need to know, as quickly and as efficiently as possible. As you would know, when you're going for an interview, you only have a certain amount of time with either the recruiters, or if you are presenting to a stakeholder, you have a limited amount of time. So your case study should be clear and concise and also visually appealing, something that also captures the eye. It explains the design, shows some type of consistency within that design. And also at the end of the day, focus on the solutions that you were able to create and the problems that you were able to solve. Now, let's take a look at some example portfolios. Now, here's a link to a couple of different example portfolios. Now, you will implement all of your work into the e-portfolio you've been using with Brown University, but I have a few links that I would like to share with you guys, something that you can go back and reference to when creating your amazing portfolios. So let's look at the very first the very first portfolio link. So in this portfolio link, this is showing the user experience that they created. Now, they started off with a mock-up here at the top. They also talked about their challenges and solutions, and then they started from the current state. So they started with a sitemap, which is something that you should implement within your UX research report and portfolio. They also discussed the user flows. They showed the different wires connecting from screen to screen. Also, the redesign process, starting off with wireframes, the sketches that they created for their low-fi wireframes. And then They discuss the mid-fi, which we discussed previously, and that is just a step up from the lo-fi. And then they did usability testing, and they also implemented the think aloud cognitive walkthrough with their the participants. They also broke down the different tasks they asked the users to conduct. They implemented insights, and then how did they finalize everything, their final iterations for the user flows. And then they also included the hi-fi screen flows. And lastly, design. Here they implemented a screen recording, but you can implement screenshots and also provide the link to your actual design in either WXD or Figma. And then they created a summary. So Google Drive in 5 years. This is something for their findings and their recommendations. And then talked about the process of how it works, the process of the sitemap, wireframes, the prototypes itself. And then they also talked about the different solutions that they created or implemented, the flow map. And then that's how they ended with another mock-up. So that's something that you can do also if you would like to implement into your design. So give me 1 second. And I have another one that I would like for you to take a look at. This one here was created based on the WhatsApp for small businesses in India. And as you can tell, this portfolio is very different from the last one we just previewed, but it also includes the same important information, talking about the problem, introducing us to the existing app. They also talked about the process for the customer journey. They also included user stories. That's something that we previously saw in the UX research report video that I previously played, talked about the user stories, which is very important. Also, some quotes is also important, and then some information, some data. Now, you can go back through and look at all of these links that I provided within the slides to create your own portfolio, which is very important. So let's go ahead and we're going to move forward and talk about the submission instructions. This is very important. So when you are submitting your final project, you want to export your InDesign document as a PDF. Again, if you choose to create your UX research report in another application, you can totally do that, but please make sure that when you're submitting that document, it is a PDF file. Then you want to add that PDF file as well as the URL and submit the URL to your portfolio, your e-portfolio. You want to submit all of that information. And then here's the breakdown. So you log into your portfolio, click and add a new project. If you use Studio, which is an option to implement your videos, please make sure to include your screencast URL in your project. If you use PowerPoint, attach your file. If you're in Canvas, click the submit assignment, upload your project URL, as well as the UX research report PDF file. So it's 2 things you're going to be submitting. You're going to submit their project URL to the portfolio, as well as the PDF file to your UX research report. So this video is going to show you a little bit about the e-portfolio. And so I'm going to go ahead and play this video. Again, let me know if you're having any issues with viewing the slides or audio issues, and I'll make some accommodations for you.
In this video, we're going to learn how to upload a project to your portfolio in Portfolium. First, log into your Portfolium account at portfolium.com and you should see a URL with portfolium.com and the username you created when you made your account. Next, we want to go to the portfolio page, and we're going to add a new project. First thing, let's name this project. Call it My First Website. Next, we want to upload any files or URLs associated with this. Now, the purpose of this is to create a portfolio, so you want it to look good. So one thing is, if you're creating a project, you can create a screenshot or an image of your project. And in this case, we'll use this image, my first web. Since this is for the web development program and most of your projects are stored in a GitHub repository, you want to add your GitHub repository URL that's associated with this project as well. So go to your GitHub account, go to the repository that's associated with this account, copy the URL, and then let's paste this in as a link. Once that's done, let's go down and add a category, and they have these built in. So we'll pick web development. Description, you could say it's for your school project, what class you're in, maybe what week the assignment is in. Next, you can add skills or tools, keywords to this. So let's add web development here. If you had any people that worked with you on this, you could associate their portfolio account to here and add some more tags. We'll add some HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and web development. Once we're done with the input, we can take a look at the preview, and it shows the image that we uploaded, and it has the link to our GitHub account. Right. Once you're satisfied with how it looks, you can go back to the editor and click Publish. It will give you an option to share it to social media if you like. Click on I'm Not a Robot if this comes up, and publish your project. Once that's complete and you go back to your portfolio page, you'll now see that you have the project that you created here.
Okay, so if you ever have any questions in regards to how to upload your project to Portfolio, you can always go back and reference to this video. Again, it's going to be posted in the announcement section. All of the slides from today's live session will post in the announcement section. So you can go back and reference to that. But now that we reached the end of our live session, let's discuss some reminders. So for week 7, this to-do list has been posted in the announcement section, so you can reference back to it. But check out the week 7 overview, watch the replay for this live session, and then we also have our live session this afternoon, which is our very last live session discussing week 8. So you can always go back and reference to the videos there, or you can check out our class YouTube channel. Engage in the Yellow Dick discussion during week 7. Again, your initial post is due by Wednesday. You want to make sure that you're posting by Wednesday. That way your classmates, that allows time for your classmates to engage with you. And the main goal is to earn those 1,000 points in Yellow Dig during week 7, which is due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Also, complete the Learn It. This is the very last Learn It assignment. It's focused on recharge. That is due Sunday. And then you have your activity. This is a breakdown of the two. So you have your final redesign, which you need to complete. Also, your UX report, which is also due. And then again, you will have to upload your URL to your portfolio. So make sure to include that as well. And then lastly, this is important because next week, all resubmitted work or late work is due no later than Wednesday of next week, because next week is week 8 and we end week 8 on a Wednesday. So please make sure you submit all late work or work that you would like to enhance your grade by next week, Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. To receive that credit. So we have reached the end of our live session. Do you guys have any questions? No questions? Okay. So thank you again for attending the live session number 7 a.m. Our next live session, which is our very last live session, we're discussing week 8, career focus and reflection. And also I will do a refresher for those that were not able to attend this live session. And again, if you are watching the replay, please make sure to go back and submit all of the takeaways from this live session in order to receive credit. But if you don't have any questions, I will have this this slide posted in the announcement section right after this live session ends. And reach out to me, please. Do not hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions regarding upcoming assignments or past assignments. And I will, again, make accommodations for you and help you find some solutions to your problems. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you later on this afternoon. Bye.